Hello, everyone. This is Game 10 from the 1996 Fide World Championship match that took place in Elista between Kamsky and Anatoly Karpov. In Game 10, Kamsky has the white pieces and Karpov has the black pieces. All of these games will be in chronological order on my playlist. So if you want to see, find out the whole story of the match, with annotations, of course, and I give the little anecdotes of what was going on during the games and stuff. Just click on the playlist and just start from the first game. So we're gonna start right here at game 10. Now, game 9, Kamsky suffered a devastating loss with the black pieces in his favorite Grunfeld defense, and for all intents and purposes, the match pretty much um, is way out of hand. Karpov at this point is leading 6.5 to 2.5, and the match is only 20 games, so halfway through, and Karpov has a 4-point lead. So I mean, Karpov will have to just basically collapse, um, to lose this match. But nevertheless, there's still uh, 10 more games to play, so anything can happen. And so Kamsky, for the first time in the match, again, Kamsky has the white pieces here, and the first time in the match, opens with D4. He had been playing E4 the whole match, and with dismal results. He had that one win in game two, and that was it. And so he switches to D4. Let's see how it worked out. So knight F6 from Karpov, C4, E6. And Karpov is known for his whole career practically playing the Queen's Indian defense in Nimzo complexes. So knight F3, B6, there it is, A3. This is known as the Petrosian system. It is real simple, stopping the bishop from coming to B4, bishop B7, knight C3, D5, C takes D5, knight takes D5. This keeps the diagonal open. Of course, it's possible to take with the pawn, but this move keeps the diagonal open. However, it gives white the opportunity to erect that full center at some point. Bishop D2, knight D7, and um, now Kamsky and Anand had a candidates match also, and in that match, Anand played the Queen's Indian also, and he played the move Bishop E7 versus Kamsky. That game just continued like this, and there's the E4 I was telling you about. Knight takes C3, Bishop C3, Knight D7, castles, C6, H4, B5, Rook H3, and A5 with the very complicated position. Alright, the opposite wing attacks. Very exciting chess. So back to this game. Instead of Bishop E7, Karpov played Knight D7, Queen C2, C5, and now Knight D5. Knight takes D5. Now these two players have played before in 1995 in the rapid game, and Karpov here in this position, instead of playing Knight takes D5, Kamsky had went for the direct E4. And after Bishop takes, C takes, Bishop takes, Rook C8, Bishop C3, A6, Bishop D3, Bishop E7, castles, Bishop F6, E5, Knight takes E5, Knight takes, Bishop takes. Notice this annoying pin on the Queen. Bishop takes A6, and the idea behind that is Bishop takes A6, Queen A4 check. So you get out of the pin and you get the piece back. But instead of bishop takes a6, Karpov played bishop takes h2 check. King takes h2. Queen h4. King g1 and bishop takes a6. Rook fe1. Castle, and black had an advantage. So a little history right there with these players. So e4 is tempting, but Kamsky decided to play knight d5 first. Okay, e takes, d takes, b takes c5. Now we have these hanging pawns. e3, bishop e7, bishop d3, and now Karpov plays the move g. Now here, Karpov didn't really like this move too much. He felt he had to do it, but he had considered h6, but he wasn't pleased with h6 because he felt that white could do what is known the Turton maneuver, which is basically switch the places of the white queen and bishop so that you threaten checkmate. So for instance, like that, just for visualization purposes, which you often see. Sometimes you'll see moves like queen d1, the bishop will drop back. And then he says he would have to wind up playing g6 anyway. So he figured just play g6 immediately. All right. Kamsky goes ahead, h4. And although he wants to set up the battery, he wants to weaken the I'm sorry, this move enhances bishop d3 and queen c, the position by weakening the structure even further. Queen b6. Now, let me say that although this position objectively is pretty equal, it favors Kamsky as far as the type of position in the flow of the game. If you've been following this match, it's been a match of whereby it's Karpov's experience. Remember, Karpov's older now. It's his experience in these quiet, delicate, technical, somewhat dry positions, right, versus Kamsky's dynamic approach. For instance, his approach with the black pieces, the King's Indian, Grunfeld defense, right? Looking for a battle, looking for imbalances in the position, looking for more of a melee on the board. And this type of position with the hanging pawns, although again it's equal right now, it favors Kamsky because there's this chances for him to exercise his dynamism. So I find that interesting. H5 and bishop f6. Bishop f6 has this idea. Let me insert a move so that I can show you. So if black can go again, he wants to play c4. Let's say bishop e2, followed by queen takes, bishop takes, rook b1, and then c3. So that's his idea. So rook b1. Now this deals with that threat and introduces the possibility of just playing b4 now. Rook c8. And there's this opposition, which is usually a good tactical motif. Having the rook opposite, a heavy piece like the queen or the king. Queen a4, and now bishop c6. Queen g4 from Kamsky. And now Karpov plays bishop b5. Now he scolds himself in his notes for not playing queen b3. And he says queen b3 would have given white serious problems. Then he says, for example, bishop a6, rook b8, H, H, rook takes H8, and bishop takes H8 with the advantage to black. However, he played this move, bishop B5, and Kamsky just played bishop C2. Now, if Kamsky traded, that would be in black's favor. If he played bishop takes B5, but he didn't play bishop C2. A5, H takes, H takes. Rooks come off the board. Knight G5, bishop F6, and A4. And this is an important move because it forces Karpov's bishop off the A6 F1 diagonal. So, for example, if he tried to stay on the diagonal and play bishop A6, then knight takes F7. And the idea is if king takes F7, then queen, queen takes D7. So this bishop right here is kind of holding this knight in place. Alright, so this is why you see bishop C6. And now king F1, bringing the king in safety. And now he's thinking about opening the center by playing E4 here. And causing these pawns to become weak by advancing, or forcing one of them to advance. King E7, there's E4, and now queen A6 check. And the idea is to bring the knight to E5. So he protects the rook first. So right here, the rook is not protected. So Karpov wants to play here, but so he has to address that problem. So he checks. So he does it all with tempo. King G1 and then knight E5. Boom. Queen F4. Now D4 from Karpov. Now at this point, Karpov says he was already down to 15 minutes. And he has to reach move 40. And he's only on move 26 at this point. Knight H7. Bishop H8. And so now he says by not placing the bishop on G7, white does not capture with check on F6 when his F and E pawns move forward. This was the critical part of my plan counterattack. And he says I failed to follow through. Queen H4, F6. Okay, so now he says he criticizes himself and says my intended handling of the position was to run to the queen side with my king and exploit the poor placement of the white bishops and my passed D pawn. Then he says had I done so, black would certainly not be worse. And so therefore he gives this line with king D6. And knight F6, bishop, queen takes, and then rook E8. And then if white tries to follow up bishop F4, since once the knight moves, then he could capture on E5. Black displays very strongly rook E6 here. But he didn't play that. He played F6. And there's Kamsky coming with full force. F4, knight D7. Rook E1, queen C4. Bishop B1. And now king D6. Instead of king D6, perhaps rook B8 is possible here. But after E5, the position still looks very difficult. So let's say rook takes, E takes F6, and then king D8. But after F7, White is just winning there. So back to the game. King d6 was played. e5 by Gata. F takes. F takes. And Karpov plays knight takes e5. Now the correct capture here is bishop takes e5. And it's hard for white to prove anything here. For example, bishop f4. Rook to e8. Knight f6. Rook e6. Bishop takes g6 would just be meant by bishop takes f4. Rook takes e6. King takes e6. Queen takes f4. And all of black's pieces are just surrounding him, you know, like a entourage. And black is just fine in this position. However, Karpov, with under time pressure, took with the knight. And this allowed the pin. See, with the bishop, there is no pin motif. But with the knight, there is. So queen d5, threatening mate. But this is simply refuted. And again, this is Karpov's extreme time pressure. So this is why he makes this, you know, real simple looking move and gets refuted right away. So bishop e4, queen e6. Knight g5, and now Gata is in his element. Queen e7, takes, bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, queen e4, another pin, king d6, check, and Gata's is playing really accurate at this point. Queen f6, and then Gata just goes down into a winning ending here. And the extra piece is just too much in this particular ending. And although black was able to get rid of the other pawns, that one on g2 is going to be the killer. So Karpov actually resigned in that position. So that was a much needed win for Kamsky there. I mean, he was getting walloped in the match, and his first time switching over to d4, and he had great results. Although Karpov had overstepped, but the thing is again, like I said earlier, although the position was equal, it was just that type of position didn't seem to fit Karpov's style. Definitely at this point in his career. I mean, after all, he was playing, you know, Karakhan, you know, kind of like old man chess, just trying to keep the game like slow and quiet. Like Petrov and Karakhan. So then all of a sudden, you know, he ends up in this position that's, you know, real unbalanced, king in the middle of the board, you know, hanging pawns, and that's more of a Gata's element, and the game showed because once Gata got the initiative, you know, Karpov made inaccuracies, Gata just blew him off the board. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you on the next video. We got a few more games to go. There were a lot of decisive games in this match, so hang in there. And again, feel free to check the playlist for all the other candidates match series.